Prime Minister Philip Davis in quarantine. COVID numbers enter the triple digits and tighter travel restrictions on the horizon. Good evening, everyone. I'm Leah Cooper with your JCN News for this Thursday, December 23rd. Today, Prime Minister Philip Davis confirmed that his wife, Anne-Marie Davis, and several other relatives who traveled from abroad have tested positive for COVID-19 following a recent family gathering.
Even though everyone was vaccinated and everyone tested negative before travel, several of those who are visiting from abroad tested positive on the 5th day after arrival in the country. Since then, my wife and other family members have tested positive. I remain negative. Because they were vaccinated, they are either asymptomatic or are experiencing only mild symptoms. I'm so grateful that is the case.
Prime Minister Davis is self-isolating as he encourages the public to plan gatherings with the goal of protecting family members, particularly those who are immunocompromised. Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Michael Darville, according to a physician, has seen the Prime Minister and he remains well, and his relatives impacted are all doing well. Prime Minister Philip Davis says that the country could be entering the worst part of the pandemic, with Omicron spreading swiftly around the world, and it must take proactive steps to guard the safety and health of the nation. He made this candid remark this morning during a national address while disclosing that there will be new travel requirements to enter into the country.
We are also implementing new rules at the borders. We are changing the requirements for entering the country. Bahamians and visitors must test negative within 3 days of entering the country instead of 5. And beginning on January 7th, a negative PCR test will be required for all. Rapid antigen testing remains a critical tool, but a PCR test is more sensitive and can pick up an infection earlier in its course than the antigen tests. Effective immediately, we are changing the rules about the size of gatherings that are permitted. Indoor gatherings should not have more than 20 people. Outdoor gatherings no more than 30.
With some 150,000 fully vaccinated people in the country, Prime Minister Philip Davis says that there are plans to aggressively get people vaccinated.
Our vaccination efforts will include outreach in inner city communities and to undocumented migrants who may have struggled with online registrations or access to vaccine venues. We will also be taking new measures to provide technical guidance to businesses, churches, and others so that these spaces can be made as safe as possible.
Meanwhile, Mr. Davis noted in his address what the government plans as COVID-19 infections rise, as officials from the Ministry of Health and Wellness recorded over 100 positive cases for the 22nd of December. He further noted that the government is working to make COVID-19 testing free and is securing additional medical personnel.
We are also taking steps to enhance our ability to respond to infections that require treatment. We are readying to mobilize multiple field hospitals, which should the number of hospitalizations grow. In New Providence, we are planning to utilize the nursing school and the National Stadium, and we are in discussion with an international partner to open a field hospital in Grand Bahama. We are identifying additional options in the Family Islands. Plans include the provision of equipment necessary to support the delivery of care to patients with moderate to severe symptoms.
The Prime Minister says adjustments will be made as the COVID-19 situation is fluid. A whopping 140 cases of COVID-19 confirmed for Wednesday, December 22nd. These are the latest figures coming from the Ministry of Health and Wellness COVID-19 update. 136 confirmed here in the capital, 54 of which had a history of travel within 14 days, 2 on Grand Bahama, 1 case confirmed on Abaco, and 1 on Eleuthera. The national count now stands at 23,380. Active cases now stand at 743, 18 of which are in hospital. 16 are considered moderately ill in hospital, and 2 battle the virus in intensive care. The death toll remains at 713, with 38 deaths still under investigation. 2 recoveries were reported that day, pushing total recoveries to 21,736. Meantime, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Philip Swan says health officials have been expecting an increase in cases and have considered the challenges that may arise as a result. He was answering questions from reporters this morning relating to the amount of large gatherings that have been taking place in recent weeks. He assures that things have been put in place to ensure that health protocols are adhered to.
One of the things that we did put in place is that these events should be approved by the police force, or ensure that the police force has the capacity to do the necessary policing and protocol monitoring to ensure that the least amount of transmission or risk of transmission can occur.
Asked if health officials would recommend tightening restrictions at this point, the CMO says this.
Well, we've had a conversation with the cabinet and we've come to a conclusion. I think the restrictions, the recommendations that we have made are reflected in the revised health services rules that should be out, if not today, should be out shortly.
National Security Minister Wayne Munro spoke to the enforcement aspect of large gatherings over the next few days.
There's a two-step process, as the CMO has said. The first is that you require approval from the Ministry of Health, who will set out the protocols that you are to follow. As the police are responsible for enforcing the law, if it is a commercial event, you will require an occasional license from the Royal Bahamas Police Force. I can tell you, having spoken to the Commissioner and ACP dames this morning, that you will not get it if you do not satisfy them. One, that you can comply with the protocols, and two, if you don't commit to providing security that will be provided by the Police Staff Association in their off-duty officer regime. And that will mean that you will be made to hire a police officer who will write you a ticket and close you down if you're non-compliant.
He insists that this is very serious business and adds that if promoters want to make money from the public, they must follow the rules. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.